Hello Slapafish community, welcome back to another World Tanks Console video. So in this video, I'm going to be using the amazing website Watch Stars to look at the win ratio and battle count for the top 10 best tier 8 premium tanks. So yeah, also this is also the top 10 best tier 8 tanks, but there is no texture tanks that come on this list, so we're going to be calling it the premiums. So yeah, let's just start off at number 10. Also, if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing because it's free and it helps out the channel a ton. So let's just get on to the number 10 spot. The number 10 spot is a tier 8 American heavy tank, the T-54E2, or also the Sergeant Slaughter. It has 870,627 battles played in it, which makes it the most played out of all 10 of these tanks. It has a 52.44% win ratio. Now this T-54E2 is very unique because it gets two guns. It gets a single shot and it gets a 3-shot autoloader, which most people use the autoloader because the autoloader is what makes this tank be different. It's like a 57 heavy put at tier 8 that is better than the T-77. But it's also like if you put the T-54E6 down at tier 8. The T-54 120mm down at tier 8. The tier 10 American premium tank if you use a single shot. So anyway, let's talk about the autoloader. The autoloader is 33 seconds, doing 360 damage per shot, doing about 1200 damage and a clip. It has pretty decent armor. Its mobility is fast for a heavy tank at 45 forward, 17 reverse, with a decent power to weight ratio of 16.15. This tank gets a DPM of 1,732 when you use the autoloader, and 1,847 using the single shotgun. So let's move on to the number 9 spot, which is the tier 8 Czechoslovakian heavy tank, the Skoda T-56. This has been in 222,629 battles with a 52.59% win ratio. Now this is another one of those tanks that gets two guns. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of those on this list for obvious reasons. So now this T-56 gets a ginormous 130mm gun, doing 460 damage per shot, and you get a option of using a single shotgun or the double shotgun. Basically a 2-shot autoloader that has a 25-second reload, and basically you're doing almost 1,000 damage per clip, and your inner clip reload is 3.5 seconds, which is pretty long, and your DPM with the inner clip is 1,937. I mean, with the auto, there's 1,937, and DPM with the single shotgun is 2,042. Now, the armor is actually really quite good on this tank at 220 at the front, 95 on the sides, and 70 for the turret. And the hull has 100 at the front, and 70 at the sides, and 70 at the rear. So it's a decently armored tank with how much gun depression? 8 degrees of gun depression. And it's a pretty dangerous tank to get in front of when it's using that double shot autoloader. So yeah, don't get caught out in the open by this tank. Now let's move on to the number 8 spot, which is the first medium tank on the list. Is the Astron Rex with 776 battles played with a 52.66% win ratio. The Astron Rex gets a ginormous clip with 5 shots and a clip, doing 320 damage per shot. Gives you a pretty high potential clip of doing like 1,600 damage with your 5 shots. But it has a long inner clip reload of 4 seconds. But the Astron Rex is very low, which gives it very high concealment, and is very mobile with okay V range at 390. But yeah, this tank is mainly, it's the giant clip it has, and how secretly this tank can like hide. And the mobility is okay at 52 forward, 30 reverse, with a power to weight ratio of 14.52. So let's move on to the number 7 spot. Just like the Astron Rex, this tank plays identical to that tank. Number 7 is the newly released Mantis at 29,698 battles played with 52.93% win ratio. Now, I expected the Mantis to be a little bit higher than the spot because the Mantis is just really good. Everything I mentioned about the Astron Rex applies to the Mantis, but you're using a 4-shot autoloader at a 26.5 second reload with a 240 damage per shot, doing about 900 to 1,000 damage potential clip with a decent inner clip reload of 2 seconds. So you have a pretty good gun at 240 damage per shot with DPM 1,771, and your concealment is outrageous. Your rear range is 400. Your mobility is really, really good. You're a very small tank. Your mobility is 63 forward, 20 reverse with a crazy horsepower per ton at 33.33. Mantis definitely deserves a little bit higher on the spot than the spot. So yeah, let's move to the number 6 spot, which will be the last medium tank on this list, I think. And that is the Ragnarok T-34-100. It's a Crimson tank. At 848,131 battles played with a 53.19% win ratio. So, similar playstyle to the Mantis and the Astron Rex, but it doesn't have the concealment to do so, but it has the very devastating inner clip, the very devastating autoloader. I think it would be on the Skoda T50 drop down to tier 8, with the T-34-100 that is a tier 7 moved up to tier 8. So yeah, putting those two together, and Czechoslovakia is really known for their really good autoloaders. So yeah, but it's really impressive 1.8 second inner clip reload, doing 320 damage per shot with 3 shots under clip, doing about 960 damage potential clip. And yeah, with a 30 second reload, it gives this tank a 1,715 damage per minute. But it also has 8 degrees of gun diversion, but I never thought about that. Okay armor for the medium. It doesn't really hide, but it's all about the gun with this tank and that 75% silver boost. That makes it a lot of silver. So yeah, this was one of the best ways to make silver before Cold War got the silver boost it now currently has. Now, the number 5 spot is the Object 703 version 2. It's Black Edition. It has 10,049 battles with a 53.22% win ratio, which is not the lowest played tank on this list, surprisingly, even though it is the newest one. And double barrel tanks. Don't really need to say too much. It's terrible view range at 350, but it's all about the double. It's all about the 2 guns. Its 2 guns gives it such an advantage that a single shotgun doesn't have. It can be used as a autoloader and an auto reloader at the same time. But it also had that double burst where you can do 780 damage per shot. So yeah, this tank has really good armor. It has the Corvette's 1 hull, which has really good armor. The Object has 140 millimeters of armor at the front, which is really good. 100 at the sides, and yeah, turret armor is pretty decent. Armored at 220 at the front, 120 at the sides, and 90 at the rear. But premium rounds from tier 10s can still go through it. So yeah, let's move on to one of the heaviest armored tanks for tier 8, which is the Minotaur KV5 with 187,078 battles played with 53.31% win ratio. So yeah, this tank's all about the armor. If you like your KV5, then this is the one to definitely pick up, because armor is everything for this tank. So let's talk about it. Has 1,780 hit points. Its turret armor is 240 at the front, 180 at the sides, 180 at the back for its turret armor. Its frontal armor at the front is 180. It's, yeah, 180. And one of its giant R2-D2 turrets at the front, it's 200 millimeters of armor. This tank is heavily armored. Everywhere you go around. 150 at the side, 100 at the back, 140 at the back actually. So yeah, this tank is heavily armored. It's got a really good gun. It's got the KV-4's gun, which has really high penetration. 221 standard, 270 on its premium. Doing 300, hold up. I was looking at the object stats. So 227 on its standard, 289 on its premium, with a DPM of 1,715, but it also goes 40 forward and 14 reverse, but does not get the preferential matchmaking that the KV-5 does get. But does get more armor than the KV-5. Also, this is another one of those Crimson Steel tanks at 75% silver boost. So yeah. Also, all 3 Crimson tanks are on this list. Letting you know that right now. So the number 3 spot is definitely going to be a name we're going to struggle with. Is the Sensajo Toe 55. I'm probably just going to show it up on screen. Yeah. Anyway, it has 33,674 battles played in it with a 53.33% win ratio, barely beating out the Minotaur. This tank actually gets a flamethrower. It gets a pretty nasty flamethrower. It's like a T-55. Put it down at tier 8 with decent armor. It gets a flamethrower, which it has a turret, so that flamethrower is really, really effective. It has a good gun. It's 100 millimeter, doing 320 damage per shot. And its DPM is 1,882. Gun diversion is 5 degrees. But it also has really high penetration, 201 on standard, but when you get the premium, it's 330. So yeah, that's a lot. And yeah, 380 G range. Quiet, it's a very powerful tank, especially when combined with that flamethrower. It was fun to play when I had it. So now let's go to the least played tank on this list, the Asterion. At number 2, it has 8,303 battles played in it with a 53.35% win ratio. Now, this tank is super heavily armored. Now, you would think, okay, this is exactly what you would think the M48 Rampanzer would be. Like, playing this tank makes you think what the M48 Rampanzer would be. Thinking super heavily at the armor at the front. This tank is. It got 254 millimeters of armor at the front of its turret, 76 at the sides and 51 at the rear. It's got space armor at the front of the tank, the big plow, which is officially how much thickness? Hold up. It is pretty thick, thicker than I thought it would be. 80 millimeters of thickness, plus there's 100. The armor behind that ranges from anywhere 100 to 152. Insane. So it also has 1,500 hit points with a gun that does 360 damage per shot. DPM is low at 1,663. Decent penetration at 218, 282 on its premium, and decently slow. It's heavily armored at the front, but also with the gun depression. 9 degrees of gun depression, even with the plow at the very front of this tank. So, with that out of the way, I said that all 3 Crimson tanks are on this list. That leaves, so that was the Ragnarok, that was the Minotaur, and now it's the Hydra IS-6. Hydra IS-6 has been in 311,333 battles with a 53.43% win ratio. And it also has that 75% silver boost that all Crimson tanks are known for. This tank is heavily armored. It's not heavily armored, but the armor thickness not the armor thickness, but the armor effectiveness is what gets this tank. It has 130 at the front, really decently angled. 100 at the sides, and the turret armor is okay at 150 at the front, 150 at the sides, but 100 at the back. This tank also has a really big gun, doing 440 damage per shot with 1,550 hit points. Its DPM is 1,773. Its penetration is 225, 265 on its premium. Gun depression is 6 degrees. Hydra IS-6 is a very fun tank. Not surprised that it's number 1. I am very not surprised that it is not. I am very not surprised that it is number 1. Now, if I have a video on the Hydra IS-6, it would be on screen right now. You can go watch that and see how the Hydra IS-6 performs. Probably an older video, but you can go watch it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, remember Slapafish because war's not. And peace out. See ya.